welcome back to the All We Need podcast. I'm really excited today to hear from some of our new officers, those who will be commissioned in June at our commissioning weekend. This is an opportunity for you to hear from them and to hear about what God's doing in their lives, what their vision is for ministry, and we're just going to have a nice conversation today. So join me in this opportunity to listen to 4 who will soon be commissioned in the Central Territory. So welcome to all of you. And we're going to, first of all, just have you introduce yourselves. And I've asked that you share a very brief part of your story for how you came to know Jesus. So welcome.
Thank you. I am Cadet Olyvia Shiels. I am an officer's kid, so being a part of church has just been always it for me. But it wasn't really until I was in college that I kind of started taking my faith seriously. And actually not until right before my junior year, so in 2022, that it was just kind of like, I had a moment where God and I were like kind of hashing some things out. And I kind of, in some sense, like rededicated my life to Christ at that point. And so since then, I've just been kind of very quickly and deeply growing in my faith. So yeah.
I am Cadet James Kaake. I came to know Jesus early in my life, and then I got lost in the shuffle of life itself. So unlike Olivia, who was around it a lot, I went my own way, got lost, but the beautiful thing about our Lord is He has prevenient grace. And so even though I didn't acknowledge Him, He continued to pursue me. And through a chain of events, He got my attention. And because He had my attention and the way I'd lived my life, I knew that I needed something different. And He was there with open arms, ready and willing to accept me in. And I've not looked back since. It's been a beautiful ride.
Great. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm Cadet Logan Saydera. I grew up in the Salvation Army, so I've always been, like my grandparents were both officers, so I've always had a relationship with Jesus. But at a certain time, around like 19, 20 years old, I ended up completely walking away from my faith for a few years. But just like with Jim, God still pursued me, still had a plan for me, still had something for me. So He continued to pursue me even after I walked away. And at the same time I received my calling, I rededicated my life to Jesus.
Great, thank you.
I'm Auxiliary Captain David Hamilton, and I similarly, I grew up in the Salvation Army. My grandparents, they weren't officers, but they are attenders and soldiers of the Salvation Army. So I knew, and the Holy Spirit convicted me when I was a junior soldier of my promise. When temptation came, it's like, well, no, I can't do that. I made this promise to God. And so that kind of solidified knowing that I was His. I remember going to the altar at camp, at Green Valley Camp. So that's probably where I first encountered the Lord.
Great, thank you. I love all your stories, and with our territorial priority of spiritual life, it's so important to start right at the beginning, right? It's and it starts with us. Before we can be those who are sharing that life with others, we have to have it ourselves. So thank you, because I know that's true for each of you. Now, David, you look a little different from the others who are sitting.
Yeah,
You've got red on your shoulders.
Yes, I've been out in the field for about 5
These
years.
3 will eventually have red on their shoulders very soon. But you already do, and you are an auxiliary captain. Can you just tell us a little bit about that journey?
So like I said, I pretty much have been a leader within the Salvation Army my whole life. I've been a YPSM. I've been a junior soldier sergeant, but I felt God's call to be in computers and to just be a soldier and to be a lay leader within the Salvation Army early on when I was younger, and I followed that calling, but it wasn't until maybe a little less than 5 years ago, and that's probably been maybe more 6 years. We'd been thinking about it for a year. I married Robin, and she was an officer. And when we got married, she had to leave, but we both were still leaders within our local corps. And I just felt in my job as a software engineer and then a systems engineer, I was getting to be doing a little bit more leadership work. And I just felt God's call that, the Salvation Army needs some officers, and the stuff that I'm doing in my career now, I could be, a leader as well within the Salvation Army, and I just felt God's, tugging at my heart to be an officer. And so I went up to the altar. I think it was Major Steve Merritt was preaching at our corps one day, and it's just something he said that just kind of made the final tug, and so my wife wasn't surprised. But after that, filling out paperwork and going down the auxiliary captain. For a moment they thought about me going to CFOT, but because of my experience within the Salvation Army and many of the leadership positions I've held, I think we decided the auxiliary captain program was for me.
Yeah, so you started immediately in leadership in the Army, didn't you? Yeah, so how many years have you and Robin together been leading the Corps?
Oh, well, leading in Kenosha?
Yeah.
So it's almost 5 years now, so in October it'll be 5 years. But we've been leading in the Corps.
Well, yes, in lay leader roles, but in this, Corps officer leadership role.
Right.
So, so there are many pathways as well to come to where we're all at today. And today, in June, you'll be commissioned as a full captain, no more auxiliary added on, and you'll get some stars on your
I've always liked auxiliary because I would say that I'm a grade A captain.
Oh, there you go. Yes,
It was my joke, but that's
yeah. People will be listening to this in June, just before commissioning. And it's a really exciting time. And it's an exciting weekend, but it's just the start of something much more, what God's going to do in your own lives and how God's going to use you. So I really want to think about these priorities in that context of ministry for the four of you. And I as we think about the three priorities of spiritual life, youth, and leadership development, I want to ask you which one resonates the most with you right now, either in what you're learning and experiencing, or maybe God's given you a heart for one of these areas of priority. I'm going to start with you, Logan, because you're looking at me.
You got me there. I think my biggest passion would have to be leadership development. It's been something that I've been kind of stuck with, that a lot of our current work and assignments and stuff, I've been just noticing, like, not just a matter of, like, how do I put it? Not just a matter of, like, developing people to accept their calling into officership, but also like lay leader positions and understanding like the importance of the role of soldiers in Corps. And it's kind of become a little bit of a passion of mine to become sort of a leader of leaders, wanting to see people step into roles and to fulfill things that they normally would not feel confident or equipped or given the opportunity to step into otherwise.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you. David, for you, now you're again in a different position and you're...
I think they all kind of speak to me.
Yeah.
Youth, because I've been quite a bit involved with youth ministry growing up in the Salvation Army. We've been working on growing our music school, so we have a music school at the Kenosha Corps, and right now we have about 7 that are involved with it. So it's just kind of cool. So growing that and then trying to, at Christmas time, we asked those who are coming to our Angel Tree program if they were interested in youth Bible study as well as music school and summer camps. And there was a high interest, almost 200 families that were interested in each of those areas. Yeah. So now getting them to come is kind of the challenge sometimes. Yeah. Within our division, I think like leadership development, our division in Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, they had us go through the Arrow leadership as all as officers. Right. And I just think, that's kind of following those priorities. And I felt really valued to been able to, that they're investing in us with regard to that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Olyvia.
There's two actually, so I could choose, but I don't know if I would be able to do either justice. But I know while at CFOT, one of the biggest things that they kind of encourage us to work on is spiritual development or spiritual growth. We have had it said to us many times where this is the only time in our life we'll have 2 years completely dedicated to spiritual development. To just like really like, yes, do homework, yes, go to field training, yes, like learn as much as you can, but grow in your relationship with Christ and establish routines and establish like disciplines that you can continue to build and adapt to when you're out on the field. So that's one of the biggest things for me with that, in like just learning like how do I relate to God and like how do I experience God? Like where do I feel closest to God and where don't I, and how can I build both of those things? The other thing is leadership development. In myself personally, I have had a lot of opportunities on campus to lead, and that has been a blessing to me. Similar to David, growing up in the church in the Army and helping with programs like from a young age kind of helped me to experience that early on, but then now on campus, like really deepen those skills, but then also take what I'm learning from CFOT and think through how does this apply to the field. So we've had a lot of experiences. I've had a lot of conversations where people are like, okay, so this is happening here. How does that translate to, like, what are you going to do when you're on the field? How will you respond as an officer? And so I think for me personally, leadership development and spiritual formation have been the two biggest ones.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Jim?
I guess I'm
You're next.
For me, youth is important because the way our world is today, we need more people speaking positivity into their lives and into their heart, and representing our Lord in their lives so that they can see that there's a different way. But overall, I would have to agree with Olyvia. I think spiritual life is vastly important because we get caught up in the busyness and the stuff and the things, and we forget where our foundation is and what keeps us grounded. And I, for one, I came to this journey from jails and prison and addiction, and so I'm only where I am because of God and Him being who He is. And so it's vitally important for me to keep the main thing, which is to keep my eyes on Him. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. And I love that because of the fact that that's where our attention needs to be. That's where our focus needs to be, because we can get caught up in worrying about our programs and everything that goes on around that. But if we don't have Him as our foundation, then it's for nothing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's great. So let's move into ministry mode. Yesterday, I was with you all at the college and shared with you the heart of our international leaders, and really my heart for the importance of core ministry and the health of our core. And you, David, are in it, helping to build a healthy core, and the three of you will soon be in those roles of just doing your part, coming into what might be a very healthy core, or it might be a core that needs some help in certain areas. But it will also be bringing your own vision and your own experiences. So think about where you might be in a couple months. And what's your vision for that ministry, particularly around the priorities? How do you see, you've touched on it a bit, but how do you see your leadership focusing in spiritual life in the core that you're serving in, or youth ministry, or developing leaders in the core so Olyvia, let's start with you this time.
I'm actually reminded of an assignment or a group project that my session had done together with the NCI leadership, they came and talked about leadership development. And we were given this scenario, and they were like, okay, what are you going to do to build the core? This is what you've been given. Now what are you going to do? And we had really talked about like a discipleship program kind of thing, like the implementation of discipleship where it's modeled in the leaders, and it's taught to be modeled in the leaders, and it's practiced in the leaders, so that anyone coming in the Corps from youth to retired officer in the Corps can see that and can also practice that and live that out. So we had said we would love to see a mentorship program where people who have been at the Corps come alongside those who are just brand new, and they walk alongside them in their faith journey, in their just practical living as prayer partners, or however that would look, but to really kind of embody that relationship that we have with each other. And so, but then doing that also from adults to the youth, having young adults partner with youth and do that as well. So it's not just those who have been around for a long time interacting with those who are new, but it's also hey, adults, interact with the children. If they're not your children, get a prayer partner and pray over them, and teach young people how to reflect Christ, encourage growth in the things that they're passionate about. With that coming alongside the growth of youth, from a young age, developing leaders who know what they're passionate about, who know what their gifts are, and who are excited and passionate about leading in the Corps, in whatever capacity that might be for them.
I was about to talk about the same thing.
Well, I wondered because you all did the same project, so that's okay. So go ahead, Logan.
But I think it is that matter of because the idea behind the discipleship isn't just we're trying to connect age group to age group. It is trying to connect person to person. And it even went as far as being well, how do we allow our teens to start taking on leadership roles while considering restrictions of safe from harm and all those kind of guidelines. But how do we encourage teens to stick around once they have the freedom to drive and go wherever they want and have a little more freedom outside? How do we keep them here? Well, the idea is we give them responsibility and we show that we trust them to maybe run or help run with the Sunbeam programs or some of the other younger kids, to have maybe partner up with one of the younger kids to be here's, since they're closer in age, it kind of gives that opportunity for them to start to learn this is what discipleship looks like, while being able to have it modeled from someone who's a little bit older in the congregation as well.
That's great, good. Did they say it all, Jim, or do you want to?
They kind of covered everything, yes, because it's vitally important, because and the Army is not exclusive to this. All the congregations everywhere are lacking in the youth. And, I grew up hearing the phrase all the time that if there's no youth in the church is pretty much dead. But we also know that if they don't have an investment, there's nothing really holding them there. So to give them that responsibility, like Logan said, to come alongside them and support them and nurture them and help them grow into something. And I think that is the idea that we had with putting the teens with the older people, because, well, first of all, they're older, and I can speak because I am older. So things happen. So you're not always going to be around. So if there's somebody that you have a connection with, well, say Martha has to go and have a procedure done, well, then Susie can go in and help pick up where she's left off, because they have that connection, and that also fills that role that's now vacant. And it's just a good thing to do for the mentorship, for the discipleship, and to keep our churches growing.
Great, thanks. So you and Robin, I know, have a vision for how you lead and what you see. Tell us about that.
Well, as we were talking, I could share a little short story. I have a family of about four youth and mom, and they've come to our Corps several times, with mom and the whole family. And we recently, this past year, just started our Corps Cadet program. Now, they're all just prospective Corps Cadets. We have another prospective Corps Cadet from another family too that's been coming, but that's because they have a connection, with the youth together. And it's been exciting to see. We were only meeting once a month and kind of doing all the Corps Cadet programs together with other Salvation Armies within our area. But now they're coming more regularly. And so we're building a relationship with them. And this past Easter, they came earlier than they usually can get up to come to the church, and their mom came as well, and they helped us out with regard to a breakfast as well as an egg hunt that we were doing. And so it's kind of leadership, youth, and being a Corps Cadet, learning about the Bible, and so I think it's all kind of intertwined somewhat when you're at the Corps. And so great. I'm excited that to keep growing that. So
Yeah, you all got it, that these priorities really are very connected to each other, aren't they? Yeah. So thank you for getting that too. And I love the project. What a great thing for you to have that as a tool right away to go to your Corps. And whatever's happening already, you can build on it with that vision, because you're certainly not going to Corps that don't have anything. I know. I can assure you of that. But they will need you and the gifts that you bring and the experience and the vision that you have. So that's exciting to hear about this project you've been working on. Thanks. So I didn't give you this question ahead of time, but I wonder if you've thought, or if you have any thoughts about how divisional headquarters and territorial headquarters can support the Corps in these priorities, in the mission that you're called to do. Maybe we're already doing it, or maybe there's something you think, your experience in field training, on summer assignments, and your experience day to day. Is there something else we could do to help a local Corps make these priorities the focus for them? We can have quiet time, because we'll just edit the quiet time, because I threw that question at you.
I think you're already doing it in a sense, but just the support and the encouragement, because everything is a learning process. And going into a new Corps and trying to get into that and see what needs to be what works and what doesn't work, and what you can do to help maybe bring it back to life or put more life into it. Just to know that you're supported and encouraged by that, because I know I, for one, I'm going to have a lot of questions. So just, to be available to do that, because if I'm more at ease because I know I don't have the answer, but I know where I can get the answer, then that's going to help the whole process go a lot more smoothly for everyone. So
Great, good.
Well, if it was just me and Robin doing Corps Cadets, it probably would have been very difficult. But in our division, Major Shelley had the desire to bring us together as different corps so that we can get the teens together and also help with regard to the leadership. And so my Corps, beyond that family and the other teenager, is pretty much older congregants. So. And even though I have one that's is agreed to do Sunday school, and she brought it up herself because she knows how hard we kind of work with regard to leadership, and she just wants to be a part of it and help out. I think the division is very supportive.
That's great.
For me in Kenosha, and that Corps Cadets is just one example. During Easter, a person from the youth department came on Sunday to help us out.
Nice.
Darren just sent me an email this week saying he's got some availability on Saturday, and he knows we're doing a music school on Saturday, so he's going to come during our music school. So the division is very helpful.
That's great.
I would say that something that really did help me out when I was starting to embrace more leadership roles in my own home Corps was we had a number of leadership trainings that would happen, I think maybe once or twice a year, and I thought that those were very useful, especially when it came to one that's always stuck with me is the trauma-informed care
Yeah.
training and leadership. I've done that class a couple of times at this point, and I found that those kind of things and having those available and knowing that they're happening,
Yeah.
as well as being given the opportunity to go and do those trainings was extremely helpful. And really my ask would be like to have more of those, because I've been a little bit more disconnected from that since coming to CFOT, so I'm not sure how many of those have been made available since, but having that opportunity was very nice.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Any thoughts from you?
I just have been encouraged by seeing the encouragement and support. We just got back from spring campaigns, and my brigade went out to the Great Lakes Division, and it was encouraging to see the DCs in the kitchen with the volunteers at the Corps cooking the food, and to see them running around with the children, and the DYSs and the GS and program secretary, like to see them not just like from like attending services, but also like, hey, they're in there with you, like they're, so that has been encouraging for me to see with spring campaigns and field training, to see how leadership is involved. So I don't know if I would have anything else to add other than like that. It is like we had said, it's encouraging to know that we're being supported, and to know that there's a place that we can go to ask questions, because like CFOT says, we don't know everything, and we will get out on the fields with just the toolbox like that they have done their best to help us achieve. And so knowing that like we're not alone, and that we can go to leadership and to DHQ and THQ and ask questions is just an encouragement and like a relief to me. Yeah,
good. Okay, thanks. So last question. Our podcast is focused, called All We Need, because of 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 3. By his divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life. So we want to pray for you, and those listening will be praying for you as they listen. What's something that you need that we can trust God for providing to you? I'm going to start with you, David.
Well, I'll have to share and share with my fellow keepers here. God provides.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he provides. And I mean, like staffing challenges or whatever comes about, something else comes around, a volunteer or something that takes over or just is there to help. So do I need anything? I know God's going to provide. And so I'm thankful to God. So just continue thanking God for his provision.
Yeah, good. Thank you. We'll pray for those 200 families too, who responded, that God will provide what you need.
Absolutely.
And that God will provide also encouragement to them to really get involved. And okay, Logan.
It's been hard fully wrapping my head around the fact that in 2 short months, I'm going to have red on my shoulder. And so that's been kind of like something that I've been taking one day at a time. So that would probably be like my only request would be like just prayer for that transition and that move into that. All the challenges, all the excitement that comes about from that.
Yeah, good.
Yes, for me, I know my life, throughout my life, I know how much God has provided for me and how much he's done for me. Just to keep my focus on him. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because I tend to jump in, and when I'm in the middle, I don't always have my priorities where they need to be. So just to keep him as the top priority, because joy comes from Jesus, others, and you. And so I need to keep those priorities in check so that I can do it to the best of his ability for my life. So,
Great. Olivia.
Mine is actually similar to David's. I know that I have been blessed, and I have seen how God has just provided all that I need. So I think as we get closer and as we transition and then as we step into that new role out on the field, I think just a continued dependence on God.
Yeah. Something else is happening.
Yes.
What else is happening?
Not long after the Friday after commissioning, I will be getting married.
Yes.
So not only the transition into ministry, but also the transition as I prepare to become a wife and then marry and then move into learning my first new appointment and also new marriage and life together with that. So in that as well, continued dependence on God.
Yes.
And just trust that He will provide.
Yeah.
And trust in the faithfulness that I have continued to see God provide in my life.
That's great. Thank you all. So thank you. This has been good. We could keep talking, I know, but people only want to listen so long. But thank you, and we will be praying for you. We know God has already provided, as you've all said, and He will. And we'll trust Him for you and for our Army and what He's called us all to do together. So thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for listening.
All We Need, hosted by Commissioner Evie Diaz, is a production of the Salvation Army, USA Central Territory. For more information, visit salvationarmymedia.org/podcasts. Thanks for listening.